This video is a replay of a trade I took today. Now, it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I am not a financial advisor, and trading entails risk. Just because I got these results today doesn't mean that I can get these every day, nor that you can. Remember, the entire premise of the investing project and the $1 million experiment is that I am not an expert, and yet I am learning how to do this. So for heaven's sake, don't just blindly copy me. Instead, find a mentor, someone who is an expert, and join their community. Pay for their mentorship. This approach has worked very well for me, and it likely will for you too. So use this video partly as education and partly as inspiration. After all, if I can learn this, you can too. Okay, this was a messy day today. And I'm going to record this video in two parts because there are different lessons, and I don't want the lessons to become obscured when we munge these two halves together. The first half was, the key message was, I was way too impatient to get into trades. I got in way too early. It was a mess. So if you look at this, you can see the NQ, the Nasdaq had sold off heavily, and when market opened, it was continuing to sell off heavily. These are substantial sized bars. In addition, you can see the Russell selling off heavily, and it had sold off quite substantially. You can look at this. You can look at these bars like off a cliff, kind of bars. Well, anyway, I got in on what is essentially, it wasn't the very first green 5-minute bar, but as you can see here, I decided to place an order, and I got in on this 5-minute bar. Now, I'm a little bit ahead of time here. This is I got in at 7 o'clock, so just let this bar close here, and you'll see I got in right above that bar. Now, here's the message. The message is when you have a huge, like a really steep sell-off, one 5-minute candle isn't enough. I can't just jump in on that. I'm going to have to wait for a base to form, get a few 5-minute candles going. It may or may not mean wait for a 15-minute confirmation, but it might mean wait for at least 3 5-minute ones, like form some kind of a base. But I didn't do that. Instead, I got in and got hit for the full loss. Now this, because it was relatively within range, I got in with a 2 lot on the NQ instead of a 1 lot. And you can see here, I was able to snug that up a little bit. I think I took a risk of 80, was that right? 80 handles on the NASDAQ. And I ended up paying for it. So let me, let's let this go and play. Because meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm looking down here at the Russell and thinking, okay, well, I got to get in on this too. Because why limit my loss to 1 when I could lose on 2? Anyway, but there's something else that's important here, and that is, I'm pausing this for a sec. When I'm online in the morning, actually, let me let it keep going so I can talk while it's playing. When I'm online with the community and my mentors, they're not in. They're not in. They've been doing this for 20 years, and they're looking at this like it's highly suspect. But I, who've been doing this for all of 6 months, I know better than that, and I got in and got burned. So that's just dumb. There's no sugarcoating that. That's just stupid. So you can see I took my loss. The full was at $320 loss on 2 contracts of the NQ. And now I'm waiting for an opportunity to get in on the Russell. And again, and this comes in at 7:15 now, comes in at about 7:20. So let's give it a second here to come down. I mean, you can see I was obviously too early to jump in on that, and it hadn't formed any kind of a reliable base at all. So now here we see on the Russell, we're starting to get a green candle. And let's just see here, because it's 7:20 that I get in, that's in about a minute or so. Let me go and place my order here so I don't miss it. 3001.7 with 6 contracts. 3001.7. Oh, you're not letting me do it. Come on. 3001. I want to be at least accurate in my misery. Okay, here we go. So let's let this play. Now again, this is still very steep, and there's no base here. This is 1 candle, and I'm saying, okay, we'll get 1 green, and we'll get right in there. And of course, I had to expand this a little bit. I think I ended up taking 120 handles of risk, and then let it play out. Well, you know what the answer is. I took a bath on 2 of these, and this was not my finest hour here. This one, because it was 120 handles of risk times 6 contracts times 50 cents a piece, a point, I ended up losing $360 on this. So because I was early, because I was impatient and didn't wait for a proper base to set up, it ended up costing me $680 just in two ill-timed trades that were eminently avoidable because I could have used my brain but didn't. I also could have waited for the community, my mentors, others to actually get in so that I can benefit from their years of wisdom and actually learn something rather than just going in there. And now, in fairness, I did learn something. I learned I'm an idiot. Not quite, but I learned that the impatience just doesn't pay. So I ended up down $680, and you'll see in the second half of this video, if you watch the second video, you'll see that I spent the next 3-4 hours, the rest of the day effectively, just trying to get back to even. And so it would have been far better off for me to have just missed the trade. I mean, what ultimately, there we go, we're out. So what ultimately drives me to get into trades like this is FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. They think, oh my goodness, it's going to go and it's going to go without me. Well, guess what? I ended up down in such a big hole that I spent the entire rest of the day with, actually, as it turns out, a couple of really good trades, just clawing my way out to even. And so, just missing the trade, I would have been even. Instead, I had a whole lot of work to do and a whole bunch of angst and stress, and I'm even. So something to be learned there. If I would wait more for the setup and see the base, like for example, this is more of a base. Now that I see that, I might have placed the buy up here above that whole range. That would have been a little more sensible rather than trying to get in on the very first candle and having it still be in the process of forming the base. Well, that didn't work so well. And by the way, as an aside, this trade did end up, would have worked had I had to stop down a little ways further. But that's neither here nor there. That's with the benefit of hindsight. I didn't know that at the time. And really, if I'd had a little bit more patience, I would have seen that, oh yeah, okay, it did one more clearing low just to make sure that they've stopped everybody out, and then it went back and rebounded. So anyway, something to learn from, hopefully.